Thank you, Doctor, for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. Firstly, let me thank Dr. Matthew John for the opportunity provided. And today I'll be talking about practical foot care advice for people with diabetes. So coming to the initial introduction, that is globally, prevalence of diabetic foot complication are increasing and are increasing with high morbidity and mortality. Approximately 40 to 60% of all lower extremity amputation is occurred in the world in people with diabetes. What does the evidence say? According to a study published in Diabetes Care, it was shown that up to 63% of patients with diabetes check their feet rarely or they don't check at all. They wrongly assume that if the feet are warm, apparently without symptoms, they are healthy and not in an imminent risk of developing foot-related issues. Studies also have shown that simple education, care, motivation, and action by patient, that is self-inspection and self-care themselves, are important in protecting the feet from complication. What are the issues in developing country? They are barefoot walking, which is one of the main reasons for foot-related issue, lack of awareness about foot care problems, lack of proper healthcare facilities, use of ill-fitting footwear, which is another common cause of developing foot-related problem, ulcers, infection, alternate therapies or self-treatment. What is the purpose of foot care? The purpose is to maintain mobility and function, to prevent ulcer, injury, infection, to prevent early healing in case of diabetic foot wounds, to save the foot from amputation. So what are the cornerstones of prevention diabetes? Diabetes control? As you all know, diabetes plays an important thing in preventing foot related issue. Examination is important, which I'll be talking in the subsequent slides. Testing is also important. Testing, if the setup is a small, then you can use 10-gram monofilament. Otherwise, you can use biotheziometer, ankle brachial index to detect the nerve function and blood flow related issues. And you need to identify the risk factors. Based on that, you need to categorize the patient into category 0, 1, 2, 3, which I'll be talking in the subsequent slides. And also you need to educate the patient and need to see how the footwear is or what kind of footwear you need to use.
Sorry, Mrs. Kavita, your slides are not moving.
I'm able to move.
But it's not visible. Only the first slide is visible here.
Okay, I'm sharing it again.
Yeah.
Now it's okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You're able to see, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's moving now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let us start with the clinical exam. So clinical examination should go with dermatological and musculoskeletal aspect. So what all you should look into dermatological aspect? That is, there is a dry feet, scaly feet, thickened and cracked sole, shiny appearance in case of PAD, change in skin color, interdigital fungal infection you should note, because many a times patient may have interdigital fungal infection which they don't check, and subsequently this can lead to infection. You should check for fungal nails, thickened nails, cellulitis, wounds, high pressure points resulting in callus, corns, etc., because callus also lead to infection if not given adequate care or not treated at correct time. Musculoskeletal aspect includes structural change, that is deformities like clawing of toe, hammer toe, mallet toe, hallux rigidus, hallux valgus, hallux varus, prominent metatarsal head, crowding of toes, charcot foot, pes planus and pes cavus, limited joint mobility and muscle wasting. So these are few interesting images. In the first image, you can see there is a onychomycosis of the nail, which is commonly seen in patient with diabetes. You can see a nail infection. There was an ingrown toenail, and you can see the infection on the surrounding tissue. Here, a patient presented with, but he neglected it despite of foot care education, and subsequently he presented with pus collection, which was removed, and later the wound was looking red. The granulate has healed in few days time. Next image shows you infection abscess over the photo. Patient was using ill-fitting shoe, which resulted in an infection. Here you can see the brittle toenail, which is also commonly seen in diabetes. Many a times, the patient may not be able to trace, and while trimming, they may injure the feet or toenail. The next image shows ulcer on the lateral malleolus. It has happened due to cross leg sitting on the floor. Due to pressure, the callus formed first, and later the infection had happened. And the next image shows that there is an pressure induced ulcer on the big toe, which is due to again ill-fitting shoes. Here you can see a photo in which you can see the image where you can see superficial wound, which is due to the ill-fitting footwear again. There is a callus. You can see callus with hemorrhage. Patient was walking continuously with callus. Advised him to remove the callus, but she was not ready. And subsequently, this resulted in hemorrhagic ulcer. Here you can see callus. This patient presented to us with an infection. While presentation, patient was walking, and you can see all the bones are exposed, and the subtalar joint was almost gone. But patient still was continuing walking on the foot. And the next image shows you the pressure ulcer on the heel. Is a patient went to temple and had a burn. This is a common thing which we can see in our daily practice, fungal infection between toes, and there is a ulcer. You can see it is probing to bone, and the X-ray that took showed that there is a presence of osteomyelitis. This is also a common presentation wherein patient presented with cellulitis, and he had history of itching. So the next day he found that the leg was red, and he presented to us. Here, dryness you can note on the next image. This is a patient who's dressing. You can see, you cannot see a green color, but it is green color, which is indicative of Pseudomonas infection. In this image, you can see a rubber band on the neck. So patient thought that putting rubber band can help improve the circulation, so which is a misconception again. This image shows you an ulcer on the foot. It was due to a counter irritant application. It's a chemical injury. So you need to test all patients with diabetes. So type 2 diabetes at an initial stage of diagnosis and annually, and later as per the risk category they fall. In type 1 diabetes, after 5 years and annually as per the risk category. So this is the category of so categorization was done based on the investigation. So category 0, the risk profile is intact, wherein there is no neuropathy and vascular problem, and there is no foot ulcer. In this patients, you can advise yearly testing, and the targeted education will be basic care like foot care, footwear, and all those things. And category 1, patient has a peripheral neuropathy, and it is recommended to a half yearly testing. You have to provide an intense education and self-care skills and routine care in this category, because you have to prevent the foot problems at this stage. Otherwise, it is difficult to deal with the problems. So category 2, patient will have peripheral neuropathy, PAD, and foot deformity. So the recommended review is 3 monthly. The education and other aspects will be same as category 1, and the strategies to modify behavior and lifestyle should be included. Category 3, previous ulceration or amputation, wherein you need to review the patient once in 3 months because they are under high risk of developing foot ulcers. Here you need to provide intense practical education that emphasizes strategies to modify behavior and lifestyle. So here are a few foot care tips. So you need to ask the patient to check their feet daily. If they are not able to visualize their feet, maybe they can use a mirror or ask a bystander to check the feet. They need to check whether there is a wound, thorn injury, calluses, fungal infection between toes, over dryness, discoloration, all those things. If anything, they need to consult immediately. Yearly once foot examination or visit to a foot expert is recommended. They need to wash the feet, and they need to note that the web space should be dry, otherwise it may end up in fungal infection. Appropriate footwear should be advised. In normal patients, normal sandals is advisable. With if shoes they prefer, then it should be wider toe box with extra depth, and the insole should be soft. In patients with neuropathy, short distance walking is advisable, and nail trimming should be straight in a square manner. Filing the edges using a nail filer is recommended instead of cutting in a shape. Patient should not walk barefoot or on an infected wound or ulcerated wound because it may not heal and can end up in major issue. People going to religious places can use special socks with insole, also called as temple socks. Hot fermentation or cold compresses are not advisable in patients with diabetes. Use of commercially available products also is not advisable in patients with diabetes. Massaging, especially with counter-irritant ointments or pain relievers, is not advisable. Coming to DOMS, so moisturizer should not be applied on the wet spaces due to the chance of fungal infection. Ill-fitting footwear or toe gripping footwear should be avoided. This may sometimes end up in deformity of the toes. Sitting cross-leg also should be avoided. Smoking and alcohol consumption is not advisable. Use of toe ring should be avoided. You can see the image. One patient was using toe ring and subsequently there was an infection, you can see. And she had tied some thread over that area so that the ring should not come out. So this has resulted in an infection. So in this patient, it is not advisable. Generally, in patients with neuropathy, having dependent edema, it is not advisable. Brisk walking and treadmill should be avoided in those with deformity and neuropathy. Removing footwear while traveling or placing feet on hot surfaces should be avoided. Insect and rat bite injuries should not be ignored. Coming to footwear, therapeutic footwear is beneficial in primary and secondary prevention of diabetic foot ulcers. Correct footwear reduces the risk of injury, calluses, and the chance of re-ulceration. Here are few images of footwear. The first is microcellular rubber. So ideally, a footwear should be soft and supple, and there should be a back counter which support the feet, and it should have a Velcro so that they can adjust while dependent edema. In case of many patients with neuropathy have swelling in the feet, so they need to adjust the strap. And the insole is made up of microcellular rubber, and you can also opt for microcellular polymer or EVA. This footwear is called as anterior ortho wedge. So this footwear is recommended in patient with 4-foot ulcer, wherein if this wound is small, it helps in healing the wound. But in a major case like osteomyelitis, it is not recommended. Here, it is a midfoot ortho wedge, wherein if the patient is having midfoot ulcer, they can use this kind of footwear, and this is a posterior ortho wedge for heel ulcer. Shoes should be wider toe box. I have already mentioned it. This kind of footwear is recommended in people with diabetes. So prevention of diabetic foot is possible, and reduction of foot and leg amputation is possible through education, and around it is possible up to 49 to 85% via combination of foot care advice, multidisciplinary team approach, appropriate organization of care, close monitoring, education of patients as well as healthcare professional. Thank you so much.